Hi, everyone. Thanks to everyone who's already joined us. Really looking forward to today's session with Samuel and Mariano from Mott MacDonald, who are going to be talking us through information delivery planning and how they've been using Morta for that. Really looking forward to this showcase. I'm just going to give it a minute and then I'll get started. Thanks for joining us. Amazing. So, hi everyone again. Thanks for everyone who's joined us so far. Really looking forward to today's session. This is Mo. I'm one of the co-founders of the company, and as many of you know, the point of these showcases and the community sessions is for us to share knowledge within the community. We think a lot of people are working on really, really cool things, and we can all learn something from each other. We certainly learn from the people that we bring on board to these sessions, and they've usually opened our eyes to something. And that's why we bring them on to share their knowledge with all of you. And that's really the goal of these sessions. It's for us to be sharing knowledge with each other. Now, what we'll do today is I'll quickly start with a bit of a recap around what we're trying to achieve and just contextualize the session. And then I'll be handing over to Samuel and Mariano, who will be talking through their learnings and the work that they've done. So thanks for joining us, and we'll get started. Awesome. So just to recap quickly, our goal is to help you increase your productivity by replacing spreadsheets with connected information hubs. The way we see it is the future of the industry looks really exciting. But on the ground, what's happening is we have many projects that rely on hundreds of disconnected solutions for planning and tracking. Those could be point solutions, but right in the middle, we predominantly have Excel and Word. And that's the case regardless of who I am within the context of a project. If I'm a design manager, if I'm a BIM manager, if I'm a sustainability manager, or if I'm a commercial manager, or even a quality control manager. And that causes all kinds of challenges, which is exactly why we've created Morta. So the way we see it is we provide hubs that allow you to connect information, point solutions, and teams together so that everyone is working from live data and they're reusing data and they're collaborating and we're breaking silos and we're just ensuring higher data quality. And the way that happens is we provide a tool that has the familiarity and the flexibility of spreadsheets with the power of a database. And what that means is I can define column types. I can define what columns I'm expecting. I can define that I want text within these columns. I can define that I want dates. I can define that I want drop-down lists from other data sets and so on and so forth. And that helps us improve the data quality of the data that's going into these tables. Then one of the key things is there is a lot of data that's already available in other systems. And we see that many people currently spend a lot of time manually collecting this data from one system and putting it into Morta. And we're making that as easy as possible through one-click integrations so that you can all reuse the data day to day. And we're starting to introduce some new beta features that will enable you to make your information accessible with things like AI and with visual reporting so that questions can be answered very quickly and so that we help you increase your productivity. The way we see it is we do that through automating processes and automating the mundane tasks that you have to do. But we also know that many people are asking you questions on a day-to-day basis that you've already documented answers for within your exchange information requirements, within your BIM execution plans, and within the many other documents that have to be created. So we're starting to invest in features that will make this information more and more accessible for the users and the people that you work with, and that ultimately helps you become more and more productive. And as many of you know, we have a lot of these best practice templates that you can use and that can help you get started quickly. I think one of the key things that I like to state there is, on the one side, it's helpful in that we initially create some of these, but much more importantly, every one of you as community members is contributing to these templates in one way or the other. So you're giving us feedback on things that you think should be added. And really what's happening here is we're establishing best practice together so that we all benefit from each other's learnings. One of the things that's very unique is ultimately Morta can be used to connect and track information across the project and asset delivery lifecycle to answer a wide range of questions. We often start with information management, and then it can extend to many other functions as we enable you to reuse data within these functions, but also to connect data within these different functions. And then you can pull this data in to different visualization engines and places to derive insight, like Power BI, as you'll be hearing more about today from Samuel and Mariano, but also to other systems like BIM models or GIS or even things like AI. The most popular use case, many of you will know, is streamlining information delivery planning and automating tracking. I think at its core, what most of you are doing is you're collecting data that would have previously been in spreadsheets. You're putting it on a table where you can connect these different data sets together. And then you're linking to an external solution in order to automate your tracking related activities. Now, on the surface, we've massively simplified this process for you, and we've enabled you to start deploying these and benefiting from them. Really, if you look at the initial versions of these templates, it focused a lot on the cross-check between the data that's in the CDE and the master tracker. But what's really interesting is we learn something every day. We learn something from every one of you. And I was waiting to see, to be honest, what the turnout for today's session will be like, because I know many of our community members will think they've solved the information delivery planning problem, and they have in many ways. They've solved the tracking related problems. They've started improving planning. But it doesn't stop there. There is always a lot more that can be done. We did it initially on buildings. You'll hear today much more about the infrastructure side and how that applies. But also, we've seen some really unique ways of implementing the solution by Mariano and by Samuel, who have really started to use some of the key database properties around audit trails and how they're using that to enhance their process. So we think even if you've implemented something on Morta, there is always a different side, something that you may not be using today that you could start using in order to improve this process further. And we have, as many of you know, there are teams across the different supply chain that are using the platform, and you can, as we're saying, you can always learn from each other. The community sessions are a monthly thing, and it's really great to see how the numbers of people that are attending these keep increasing because you're seeing value from them. Really excited about the next session too. It'll be Rob Jackson who's going to be speaking there. He's really going to be talking about the vision for database-driven information management and how it can connect. I think he's someone who effectively coined that term, and we started using it as a result of his use for the term. So we're really looking forward to having him in that session with us next month. But without further ado, we have the session today, which is going to be by Samuel and Mariano from Mott MacDonald, who are going to talk us through how they implemented the platform for information delivery planning purposes. I think there is a lot that I really like about that implementation. everything from how they've approached change management and how they've actually just brought people on board and how they've started introducing the concept into the organization, and really focusing on achieving benefits and then building from these benefits to roll out on more projects are things that we can all learn from them. It was the first infrastructure project that was implemented on Morta, and I think that in itself is really cool. But then, and we'll talk, they'll bring it up, but I'll be bringing it up later. But they really use the audit trail side of Morta in a way that I had never seen before. And they've opened my eyes and the company's eyes to things that we hadn't really focused on, but we think you can all learn from, and you can all gain value from, and you can all take inspiration from. So really looking forward to today's session. And with that, I'm going to bring Mariano and Samuel on the stage. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for that. Mo, could you I think you shared the could you share my screen?
I shared Mariano's.
Yep. Anyway, thanks Mo, and thanks to the Morta team for giving us the opportunity to present on this platform. As mentioned, my name is Sam. I'm joined with my colleague Mariano today to share our experience of how we've used Morta to manage the master information delivery plan on one of the largest infrastructure projects within Mott MacDonald at the moment. So before we get into the fun stuff, a bit of background on who we are. As I said, my name is Sam. I'm a digital consultant within Mott MacDonald, and I'm the CDE technical lead within my division. I've been in the industry for more than 6 years now, where I've worked on lots of major infrastructure projects, such as High-Speed 2, BSV2, where I've led the information management activities, configured CDE systems, and overall just ensuring compliance with ISO 19650. So I'm joined by Mariano. So Mariano, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Mariano, a digital consultant within Mott MacDonald's information management team. And I've been in the industry for 3 years now, mostly involved in the digital delivery of major infrastructure project. For example, High-Speed 2, just like Sam. And my main focus has been on BI development and the optimization of CD systems. And I'm looking forward to take you through our journey with Morta and the impact it's had on our work.
Thanks, Mariano. So for this presentation, I'll start by giving a quick overview of what an MIDP is, how we use this in general in Mods, and then Mariano will then give the case study of how he's used Morta to develop the MIDP, and then we'll end the session by opening up for questions. So, as mentioned, we'll be talking a lot about information delivery plans today. So hopefully everyone on the call is familiar with this term, but in case you don't, the information delivery plan is an ISO 19650 artifact. It's essentially a list of deliverables that needs to be completed during a project. It's used by production teams to plan their work, and also by the PMs and client teams to monitor progress and plan for the receipt of information. Basically, it involves identifying what information will be produced, by who, for how long, and when they will be delivered. And in line with ISO 19650, we typically have different task information delivery plans, or TIDPs, for the different task teams or the different discipline teams, as shown in the on the right-hand side here, and they all get amalgamated into a single master information delivery plan, otherwise known as an MIDP. So here in Mott MacDonald, we see the MIDP as one of the key cogs in our overarching systems architecture, where we use this to measure delivery progress by connecting it to all the different data sources. So we have the MIDP, where on this view here, each row is a deliverable with its key information. Historically, we've been using Excel typically for MIDPs, and Mariano will explain later how we've moved away from Excel in our case study. But we've connected the MIDP to the program or schedule via the program ID, And this then gives us the expected delivery dates for the deliverables, so the look ahead for the deliverables. And we've also connected our MIDPs to common data environment systems such as ProjectWise, ACC. And we do this using the document number as the key identifier between those two systems. We use this to track the progress of the deliverables. Typically, one of the most common ways we've done this in mods is to use the suitability codes, i.e. whether the document is ready for review or for approval. So, and as long as we have achieved common coding across all the different systems, we are then able to connect all the dots to form Power BI dashboards that show the bigger cohesive picture, which the project team can then use to plan their work. So we've deployed this approach on practically all of our major projects. And while it has worked well, that very first bit up there in my diagram, the MIDP itself using Excel, that has always proven to be a bit challenging just due to the technical limitations on Excel. So we have explored managing the MIDP using Morta, and I will now hand over to Mariano to share a case study of how we have done this. Over to you.
Thank you, Sam. So taking what we've learned about our use of master information delivery plans, we turn to our case study set within a North American subway extension project. So during the early design phases, Excel was our ally in task management, keeping our workflows organized and on point. But as we moved into new design phases, deliverables were expected to skyrocket. So think about it, over 10,000 tasks to track with Excel. We needed a solution scalable enough for what lay ahead without losing our grip on the project's complexity. So the answer was to evolve our tools to match the expanding project demands, and that's where Morta steps in. So with Morta, we found our solution. So this tool wasn't just another option. It was a clear path forward to manage our project's growing needs. So it was simple to integrate, yet powerful enough to handle the complexity of thousands of tasks. And it's about making our day-to-day work smoother and preparing us for the scale of work yet to come. So the next step was making the actual switch to Morta. So despite agreeing with our project teams on the need for change, moving from the familiarity of Excel to a new system was a real shift for everyone. So it's one thing to get everyone on the same page and receive support for change in theory, and it's another to get a wide range of design teams to change their daily habits. So at the beginning, we noticed teams were still leaning on Excel and sending us files to input into Morta, but our goal was to have them input directly into the new system. Sorry, let me just load the slide. So working with Morta's team helped us meet this challenge head on. They were quick to respond, integrating the features our teams identified as game changers. And honestly, it was as if they were there right with us, tuning Morta to fit our project needs and rhythm. During our weekly training sessions with our project teams, we not only discussed the updates and features, but also provided hands-on guidance to make everyone comfortable with the new processes. And as for tracking progress, we went beyond seeing who was registering and logging into Morta. We actually carefully looked at how Morta was being used, focusing on the practical impact of the tool on our daily work. And this insight was really vital as it helped us understand the effectiveness of the adoption and ensured that the move on to Morta was translating into real, tangible benefits for the team. So this is our TIDP change tracker dashboard. So we've been able to create it thanks to Morta's capability to collect usage metrics data, which we have been able to leverage by also using Morta's ability to integrate with reporting tools like Power BI, which we will touch on later in the next slides. So the dashboard has been crucial not only for managing Morta activity broadly, but specifically for tracking user adoption. So as we introduced new features and continued our training, we could clearly see the user engagement rising giving us a direct insight into the effectiveness of our initiatives and the collaboration with Morta's support team. So before we explore more benefits we experience with Morta, especially its integration with other project systems, I wanted to go through our TIDP process for this subway project. So our approach is straightforward. Work package managers, discipline leads, and IM coordinators populate deliverables in Morta. Next, we have IM coordinators and other responsibles for deliverables, reviewing them either directly in Morta or through our TIDP dashboard, which is another example where Morta's integration with reporting tools comes into play, and which we will have a look as well in the next slides. So following this review, selected deliverables are manually exported and sent to document control for document reservation in Aconex system. So while this is currently a manual step, the integration between Aconex and Morta then automates the update back into Morta, showing us the reservation status next to each deliverable that is populated in Morta. So while we've achieved a significant automation with Morta, which is at the center of our TIDP process, we still have room to grow, and the potential for further automation, particularly with the document control step, is an exciting prospect. And we continue to refine our workflow, and we'll touch on this one as well in the next slides, by the way. So here's the information delivery plans table view in Morta. This is where our project members have been populating their deliverables. And what's particularly useful here is the Aconex status column you see next to each deliverable. So as mentioned in the previous slide, it automatically updates to indicate whether a deliverable has been reserved within the Aconex system. And as you can see, there's also a column for SharePoint status, which shows the working file for a deliverable is currently in SharePoint, which is also very useful. And I'll touch on Morta's integration with SharePoint in the upcoming slides as well. So these indications in these two colored columns are made possible by using the document number, which are generated as entries are made into Morta. You can find that column, it's the fourth column there, the read-only column in the middle. And then we cross-reference these document numbers between the different systems. So this is another essential view in Morta, situated just below our information delivery plans table, where users are populating deliverables. This particular view, which is read-only, filters out deliverables that have yet to be reserved in the Aconex system. So users can quickly identify the document numbers needing reservation, export them, and forward them to document control. And as we proceed later on with a live demo, I'll demonstrate how this process works in real time. So in summary, we have established two main table views visible for our users in Morta, one for initially populating deliverables and another one for exporting these deliverables for document control. And the format of the second view is especially helpful for document control to effectively reserve and efficiently reserve numbers within their system. So in the next few slides, we'll see how Morta's versatility has been a game changer for us. So thanks to its interoperability with other key systems in our project. So we've successfully integrated Morta with SharePoint, which has been crucial for tracking our working files. And additionally, we've brought Power BI into the mix, as you've seen, which has been key for TIDP reporting and gaining clearer insights into our project's progress. And for integration with Aconex, this has streamlined our document management processes. So Morta really has become the connective hub, allowing us to strengthen our project infrastructure and making our workflow more cohesive and efficient. So the first example of integration with other systems is our TIDP dashboard. So in Power BI, and just like the TIDP tracker I've shown you earlier, this is embedded right within Morta. This means our design teams can access these insights without ever having to leave Morta. So this dashboard is pulling data from our information delivery plans in Morta to provide key insights, and it's become a daily go-to resource for over 500 viewers and across more than 30 design disciplines, helping them review progress and the status of deliverables at different stages in our project. So now that we've seen how we can pull information from Morta into our reporting system, let's look at how we've been able to integrate external systems data into Morta. So in this project, our design teams use SharePoint to store their working files. So to connect these files in SharePoint with Morta, we've set up a Power Automate flow that sifts through the SharePoint design library, capturing metadata of each file, which includes the document numbers, and then populates these into a table in Morta. So in that first screenshot there, you can see how our Power Automate flow looks. So in that middle screenshot, you can see how we've dedicated an integration section to house data pulled from other systems into Morta. So for this example, the SharePoint table is then linked into our information delivery plans table. And as a result, we've created a column that indicates us whether the deliverable is present in SharePoint or not, using the document number, as I mentioned, as a key for this cross-referencing. So this really enhances our visibility and control over project deliverables. And now moving on to our second example of pulling data into Morta, uh, let's talk about our integration with the Aconex system. So for this one, we didn't need to set up any flows like we did with SharePoint. So as some of you may know, Morta has a built-in feature for integrations, meaning we simply logged into our Aconex account from the integration section in Morta. And just like that, we started pulling Aconex data into our Morta tables. So also this data gets refreshed daily automatically, ensuring we always have the latest updates. So once it's in Morta, we join it to our information delivery plans table, just like we did with our SharePoint one. And this gives us a column showing us not only if a deliverable is in Aconex, but also the current status that it holds in that system. And as mentioned before, while we've managed a one-way communication from Aconex to Morta, we are exploring the possibility of a two-way street, which would involve automating the step in our process where deliverables reviewed in Morta or Power BI get manually exported and sent to document control for reservation in Aconex. So it's quite exciting prospect, and we're looking forward to the day we can demonstrate this full circle of communication to you. So before I hand over back to Sam, I'm just going to jump into a live demo, um, where I'm very quickly going to show you that TIDP process where after populating a deliverable, users just export from the second table view to send for document control for approval. Let me just bring that into the screen. Okay, hopefully everyone can see this. So this is how our Morta looks like. So we first have a table view where the users are populating their deliverables. So this document number you can see in the middle is not populated. The document number is automatically generated as users populate the other columns. For example, originator, document type, discipline, work package. Uh, that's what composes our document numbers. So once the document number is generated, these columns here start telling you if it's in SharePoint, if it's in Aconex. And then for those which are not in Aconex, means they have to be sent to document control for reservation in the system. So what we ask users to do is just navigate to this second table view, which is just read only, and then filter whatever document numbers they need to send to document control. Once that's done, it's as easy as going here and downloading the CSV. So that's exporting this view. And the export is also sensitive to what's being filtered in Morta. And that's an upgrade, sorry, in the feature that we got from Morta, which has been very useful. And once that's sent to document control, and document control reserves the deliverable in the system, document control does not need to go back into Morta to update the Aconex status, but that happens automatically thanks to our integration with Aconex. And I think that's everything I can show you from Morta in this live demo. So I'll hand over to Sam now. Thank you very much for your attention.
For that, Mariano. So with all the good work that Mariano has done on this project, what are the next steps then to rolling this out to other projects? We've discussed this question with the Morta team, and what they've recommended is to, now that we have got this first pilot project that Mariano has done, we can easily duplicate this workspace for all the other projects. And what we will do here is to further refine the configuration of the MIDP on all of these other projects, ironing out any inefficiencies and tweaking it to fit all the different projects. And once we have a better idea of how this core MIDP solution should look like, we can then produce a template which we can then easily roll out across the team, the division, the company, ensuring that we have a consistent, high-quality approach to managing the MIDP within the company. So essentially, what used to have taken months to develop in the past with regards to setting up an MIDP, what Mariano has done here, we've been able to set that up within weeks, and in the future, we believe that we can do this within days. So really powerful stuff right here. So, in summary, our experience with Morta have been very positive. It's quick and easy to deploy on projects. We are able to easily extract data from Morta to gain insights on the usage analytics. But having said that, while it is a simple and powerful tool, it is still a new tool, nonetheless. It's a new solution that we have to introduce to project teams, especially teams that are very, very much used to Excel solutions already. So our advice for anyone deploying Morta is to always bring the people along on your journey, speak to them, understand their concerns, and always respond to their feedback as you roll out Morta on your projects. So in essence, don't just set the system up and I guess hope for the best, because while Morta can provide the technology and set up the process, that people bit is still important for you to remember. So that is us. Thank you for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it. I guess we'll now open up to questions.
No, thanks a lot, guys. This was absolutely stellar. Yeah, no, I'm still processing some of what I just saw. Yeah, but thanks a lot for taking the time. Thanks for taking the time to share with the community. I think just for everyone on the call, I'll also say Mariano is technically on holiday, but he's made the time to join us today, so that makes it even more special. I'd love for people to add in their questions. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat so that we take them on board and get even more insight from Mariano and Samuel's experience. But I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind. I just want to dig into some of the things that you pointed out. So first is, I just want to go through the history slightly. What were I know, Sam, you touched on that, but I just love to hear a bit more around what did you do pre Morta? I know you had done things on HS2. Like how did the history inform this decision, and what were approaches you tried first before jumping into Morta?
Yeah, that's a good point, Mo. So we've, as mentioned, I guess the vast majority of projects here in Mods, we use Excel, which is not surprising, I suppose. Excel is easy to use. People are familiar with it, but as mentioned, there are technical difficulties, technical limitations when it comes to Excel. We've recognized this on, as you mentioned, the High-Speed 2 project, or at least the bit that Mott MacDonald was involved in, where we realized that we need a database solution, essentially. And we've gone out to develop this very powerful tool using database solutions. It's got a web app as well. I think, in essence, you could say it's quite similar to what Morta has done. But what we found that we've developed this very specifically for this one project. As we move on to the next project, which is what Mariano has done here when he's moving to this different project, it's hard to take that solution that we've done for one specific project and bring over to another. And that's a big reason why we've gone for Morta, because it's I guess you guys have set up the solution, the platform for us. All we have to do is go in there, configure it for our projects, and it's easily configurable for projects as well. So that's kind of the journey that we've gone on, and so far we found that Morta has been giving good results on this project.
Awesome. Yeah, the reason I asked that is I mean, given the scale of the projects that you work on, you've been trying to solve this problem for a while. And in many ways, you're actually a few years ahead of many people that may work with us, for example, because of the scale. Like, it's a bigger and bigger problem to solve as the number of stakeholders you have to manage increases. And if you're on something like HS2, there are a lot of stakeholders to manage. So you've tried to solve this problem to begin with. And what I do see some people doing is they're going, I'm going to build a custom solution. And they don't realize that, yeah, you may do it for one project or two projects, but it's going to be very difficult to scale because you will need to configure these slightly, and there will be changes effectively that you're going to have to make. And that seems to resonate with the experience that you've had. So it's really good to hear that from you. There is a question that's come up here that I'll ask Mariano. I actually had put it down, but it's related to a discussion I'm seeing by Andy and Mike and Will on chat. So it's really, I was really glad to see that you had a whole step around the placeholders and the creation of placeholders on Aconex. And Mariano, you noted that you didn't automate that process, or not yet at least.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an ongoing chat over, can this be automated? I'm just curious, like, how do you think about this? And I guess just some context from my end is I see some people trying to automate everything in one go. And they'll not use the system unless they've automated everything. But what I really personally like about like everything you've done is just the pragmatism. So I'm just and the approach to building the know-how and so on and so forth. So I'm just very curious, like, how did you think about introducing change and layering on automations? Why didn't you do everything in one go? Just how did you think through that problem?
Yeah, sure. So we generate the document numbers in Morta at first instance, and then that's reserved in Aconex. So at the beginning, we had document control having to go into Morta to approve a mark as reserved, every time they reserved something in Aconex system. So the first thing we wanted to do, we wanted to start by reducing that need of document control to have to go into Morta, because we were already training the design teams and we just wanted to leave document control out of that. They already have enough reserving that in the Aconex system. So that's the first thing we did. And then in terms of automating the second part, which is when someone generates a document number in Morta, yes, that could be automatically sent into Aconex. However, there's a whole exercise of reviewing in Morta, and that's why, reviewing the deliverables before doing that. So not everything that is being added into Morta is ready to be reserved in Aconex. So we didn't want to get too messy there. So yes, we had document control as actions automated in Morta. They didn't need to go into Morta anymore, but we still wanted our design teams to review their deliverables and get familiar with the processes. Everything was automated. They weren't really going to get very familiar with Morta or use it as much, besides just populating stuff in there and then forgetting about it. We just wanted people to keep going back into Morta, keep going back into the dashboards, reviewing stuff, and then manually send it to document control, really. So the answer wasn't automating there, I believe. However, we are excited to automate it at some point, but without reducing this whole exercise of reviewing. We don't want to make things that easy and simple, you know.
Yeah. Well, I to be honest, there's a lot I love about this implementation and just your approach, because really what you said was, I have a tracking problem initially. I'm going to resolve that. I'm going to resolve some of the planning pieces. And I know that I'm not going to automate every single thing on day one. And it's not just about, can the system automate or can it not automate? It's, will that work well with the people that you're working with? How do you bring them on this journey? How do you get them to understand what's happening? How do you not get bogged down with what could be a super messy process itself, while making sure that you're benefiting from the implementation and building the case for it? And it's something that the really nice thing here is that that was effectively your get-go, and that's how you operated. But it's something I'm having to encourage people to do. Focus on wins, get started, build the understanding, and as you're building the understanding, you're going to be able to do more. But don't try to automate everything from day one, because that can actually be that will then take a lot of time. And in many ways, again, like, love that last point you had, Sam, which is just bring people on this journey with you, and they need to be a part of this journey and not be given a fully done solution that they've had no input into. They should give feedback. You should see how they're using it, and then go from there. So yeah, really like that point. I also wanted to quickly touch on the audit trails. How do you Can you just explain? Like, I realize you talk, but what were you trying to achieve with audit trails? Like, you have this? I remember when you showed it to me, you had this slider with time, and you could see what happened within a specific period of time. How? Yeah. What were you? Like, what was the motivation, and just how did you go about implementing that? How was that different to something you would have done in Excel? I guess, could you have done something like that and seen the progression of delivering it, like the information delivery plan in Excel? Yeah, just talk me through that a bit more.
Yeah, so I don't think that would have been possible with an Excel. So I think initially what we wanted to do is understand how our task information delivery plans had been changing across time. But then we realized we could also use it to measure our efforts with user adoption. So the first, I don't know if I should bring it up to screen or not,
Yeah, sure.
the dashboard. Yeah, so I think the first step, the first use we gave the dashboard was an understanding. So you see, there's a column there that tells you if the user is registered and then if they've used Morta. So starting with that, we were understanding if people were actually using it, and not just registering it on it and then not using it. So then from that that use, we could go deeper into it, as there's like three types of users. So like creating a deliverable, updating a deliverable, or archiving a deliverable. So we just wanted to understand how many of the users are actually creating, how many people are there just like supporting and updating. And then we also managed to link that information. So our activity data, we managed to link it with our actual TIDP data. And that's why you can see all of these filters above there. So we can filter things by discipline, by work package, etc. So we have a good overview on and by the data as well. But well, the data is part of the activity data. But it was very interesting to mix the activity data with our actual project data. we got quite good very good insights from this.
Yeah, I think because you're hitting on something like, as I say, like I've realized I've said this multiple times today, but the point of the showcases here, usually when we invite a team or someone, it's usually we've learned something from them. And chances are, if we've learned something from it, then the community too can learn something from it. And I think you're hitting on a very, very deep point with what you've done here. There is, in every single tracker and every single plan, there is this concept of periods. And periods are really important in construction. And effectively what happens today is I create a new file per period. Like that's how it works on Excel. But really what you've done is you've showed that audit trails you can focus on creating the live data on Morta, and you can use audit trails to historically understand how things have progressed without having to go into an infinite number of files in order to understand what had happened in that specific old period. And you could understand who commented, who did what they had to do, and because that's their work. Like a lot of the work is actually happening in developing the TIDP itself. And that's why you've actually changed the way I view audit trails and what should happen on Morta and what shouldn't happen in Morta. And that's why I keep bringing it up. I think it's a very, very interesting application of audit trails that is just very, very important because periods are so important, because understanding what work has someone done in Excel is important, like what would have traditionally been in Excel would be important. Have they filled in the IDP? Have they not? Have they done it on time? Have they not? And just managing that, I think, is it's a really eye-opening application of it.
Yeah, and another use that we've given it is, for example, someone has populated their deliverable in Morta and then has gone back to Morta some weeks later, and their deliverable has been updated in a way that they cannot recognize it anymore. So they come to us and they're like, "Where's my deliverable?" And that would have taken us ages to track down what's happened with a completely changed deliverable before. Whereas now we just go into this dashboard, we filter by the name of that user. In that filter there that says action type, we select created, so we can see everything that a user has created, and then we click on the deliverable. Sorry, that interface is actually on another page of this dashboard, very similar to this one, where you can see a breakdown of the history of each deliverable. So we can very quickly tell that person, oh, well, so-and-so updated your deliverable, and then so-and-so updated it again, and then this has been the whole change. That's why you can't recognize it anymore. It's still in Morta. Your data has not been lost. It's just been changed in a way you can't recognize it anymore. So that's been quite useful. Just to prove to users as well that we're not losing anyone's data.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely brilliant application. I want to take it slightly to, I guess, there's a question that I'm looking for that I saw and I'm just missing. But I guess while I'm on that, because I saw a few discussions around business cases. One of the things by business case here, I mean, it's like defining return on investment, just generally speaking. Sam, I know you're going around and you're talking to a lot of people around the implementation and the things that you've done there. How do you articulate the value add and the return on investment? Mariano touched on a number like 10,000 tasks at some point in his presentation. Like, what are the time savings? What are the business benefits? If you're speaking to a project manager, like, what do you tell them?
Yeah. So the key benefit I see in terms of I compare Morta with the existing approach of using Excel, I suppose, where it gets a bit tough to use Excel once you have like a huge amount of information within Excel. I talk about I suppose the pains project managers have gone through in terms of using Excel to manage information delivery plans, where information within Excel is hard to control, which I know examples on some projects where too many people have gone into the Excel and changed too many stuff. They've added new columns unnecessarily, and then it just led to the information management team or the PM team having to go back in and lock it down and change everything, fix everything back again, which leads to lots of time loss. So I guess that's the one thing, which is the risk of just the information in the Excel being too open in Excel. Things change too easily. So in terms of what's the word? Promoting this Morta approach, I guess, is to really touch on those pains that people have gone through using Excel. And that one case I've mentioned is probably the most common one, but there are a few others as well, which is, for example, being able to connect to the CDE itself. In Excel, it's not as automated as what you have done here on Morta. When comparing to how we can then use a solution like Morta and reuse it on different projects, Morta again has that level of control that Excel doesn't have. But at the same time, Morta is you can still configure as your Morta table as needed to suit your project. In terms of those quantifiable benefits, I think that's something that we're still doing on this pilot study that Mariano is doing here. So we haven't quite got all of those quantified yet, but we're working on that.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's something we're working on ourselves. So I don't think it's the easiest thing in the world, but we're starting to see, I think our approach ourselves has been focusing on the pain points in the way that you said. You know that you need to control your tables. How many times has someone changed that template that you sent them and you lost control? How difficult is it for you to understand change? All things like that. But we're also now starting to see, like you mentioned, the CDE, for example, and cross-checking against the CDE. We know that people do that at least once a week. It's a few hours of their time to create these reports, and they've been able to automate that. Therefore, they're saving at least a day a week. But we're starting to actually work towards what we see as the key performance indicators for like the implementations and how they can how you can do that, and in many ways to help you to start quantifying this yourselves, because that will help you as you're trying to scale it more and more. There was a key point. There was a point that Mike Robinson dropped in relation to submitting data to clients. Do you extract data out of Morta and submit it to clients? Like how does that process work for you? I guess maybe Mariano. Do you have to take an export of the report, the progress, and send it to your clients currently?
So I'm not aware if that's done by the project teams. So that might be done by the different project teams, but it's not a process I'm involved in. But everyone knows that there is a functionality to export there. And if that's happening and going through any audit processes, I'm just not aware because I'm not involved in those processes. But everyone's aware of the export tool, and I know people are exporting it for different uses. Maybe one of them is sending it to clients or any audit. But yeah, so yeah, I don't have the answer for that one.
No worries. I think the key point that you made is that people do still. You wanted to streamline your process. You know that there are different people that are going to need it for different reasons. Some of which people will not be in Morta, you know that they can export to a CSV, and you've given them that ability to do that. And then from there, they figure out how to format it, or they figure out what they need to do for their own purposes. But you've just focused on automating the tracking bits and automating and streamlining the planning processes and gathering the information. And for different purposes, people can do what they need through the export functionality. Is basically what I heard from your answer, to be honest.
Yes, exactly. And because we have it integrated with the reporting tools, from those reporting tools, teams might be exporting, etc. But from the reporting tools, which are
Awesome.
connected to the Morta data. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we've seen Thomas Crossley and Ashley and James from Kier, when they spoke, they actually did something very similar, where they like last year we had a community session focused on IDPs with them, and they showed a Power BI dashboard which they were using to export the reports to the client in a very custom way to meet exactly what they needed. But again, they focused on using Morta to collect the information and to cross-check the information and improve that data quality. And then exports could be tackled in a number of ways. I guess one last one, which may be a bit technical, but Andy asked, how did you link the data here to P6? I find it interesting that you've done that. No, we're seeing many people focus on linking it to work packages, for example. How did that work?
So that's actually been done by one of our developers of the TIDP dashboard. So I know that, so one of the dashboards I've shown you earlier, that TIDP dashboard does have P6 data, which is linked to Morta data. I think it's some ID we've generated, and then we've been able to link with the P6. But I don't know the details of it, just because I haven't been developing that dashboard in particular. But yeah, we have been able to do that, link the P6 data, yes.
Yeah, to be honest, I think there is no magic. I think sometimes like people want someone can go in and assign a deliverable against the P6 activity, and that's basically what's happening within the TIDP. And that's really, I think, usually that's my answer to that question, is just who's going to do that, and someone goes in and does that, and that helps inform the plan dates and so on and so forth. I think Sam, you want to say something there?
Yeah, just usually we don't assign it as like a per document basis, because all documents go into a work package. That work package should be linked to a program ID, so that's how we do it, really.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I guess I'm gonna just ask, is there anything you'd like to just say as a final point? I suppose I realize you've just shared a lot. I'll just give you the chance if there's anything else you would like to share with everyone.
I guess we've been able to use Morta on this project quite well. As Mariano mentioned, there's still room for improvement, as always. But as sort of scalable solution, so I guess previously I talked about how a lot of our projects use Excel. We know that that's not very doesn't work well that often. On the other end of the spectrum, we have gone down the route of developing a custom solution for managing MIDPs, like a database solution, which is really good, but it's very hard to scale for other projects. So we think that Morta is it's a good sort of compromise between these two spectrum. It's a good database solution, but it's also scalable for many projects. So far we found this to be a good solution so far on the project. Not sure if Mariano have got anything else to add to that.
No, yes, following Sam's lines. So it's been a very positive experience with Morta, and we're looking forward to address all this improvement that there is still space for. Yes.
Well, guys, I'll just say it again. Thanks a lot for being with us today. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for just like on your end too, being really collaborative and just focused on getting the best out of the system. The reason why when Mariano, you were saying features were being added, it's because we think everything about how you're using the system is the perfect example of what an implementation should look like. Take it, start benefiting from it, add value, build a case for it, get people with you on that journey, and slowly you can automate more and you can deploy on more projects. But just focus on adding value, and to be honest, that's exactly what you've done. And I think there's a lot that everyone in the community can learn from this in different ways, whether it was around how you use audit trails. I think you got a comment from my co-founder around that. Like, absolutely, that really has been. You're going to see a lot of impact from that across all of Morta, just generally speaking. So on a technical level, I think that's just been really innovative. An innovative use of audit trails, but also again, like just how you've managed change and how you've brought people on that journey, like absolutely phenomenal. So, and then today, just taking the time to share your lessons learned with all of us, I think that's been absolutely great. So thanks a lot again, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you with an update in a few months or in a year.
Session. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
Will. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone who joined us today. It's been an absolutely great session. I hope you're all getting benefit from these sessions. As I always say, the point is to share lessons learned. You saw, like today, Mariano and Sam were super honest with us on everything. That's really what we're trying to encourage. We want to figure this out together as a community. We don't think anyone is going to figure this out on their own. And not only are we providing in many ways a platform that can support in many of that, but really we want you as a community to get together, ask each other questions, and share your lessons learned. And because then we can all benefit from that, and we can all have better implementations as a result of that. And in Sam's words, ultimately not to reinvent the wheel from project to project and from company to company. We're all trying to do the same thing here, which is improve information management. And with that in mind, I'll just remind everyone we have our upcoming session will be with Rob Jackson. That's someone I've personally learned a lot from. I think many of you too will already have heard of Rob, and a lot of the information management community has learned from Rob. He's going to be talking about his vision for database-driven information management, and I'm sure everyone will have a lot of questions for him. So with that in mind, just thanks again for everyone who attended. Thanks for asking questions. Thanks for being engaged. Thanks for everyone who's dropped that it's a great session. And I'll just say it again, but thanks a lot to Mariano and to Samuel who shared their insights with us today. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the implementation will grow with them over time. And the next time that they'll be on to give us all an update around how they progressed in time. So thanks everyone, and have a great day.